Previously on the Rod Pedersen Show.
Connor's getting recognized in Chicago or everywhere he goes. I'm like, hey, no, not like Regina, where people were hiding in his bushes. That wouldn't surprise you either. But they're like, no, I've never been to Chicago, so I wouldn't know. So I guess my question is, how big can this get? How good can he be? And is he the best player on the team right now? Because statistically, he is.
Well, it doesn't take too much to be the best player on the team. You know, what do they have? They don't have much.
How about that?
And, no disrespect to, obviously Nick Foligno. I love what he brings, the veteran presence. I thought that was a great pickup. Corey Perry, I thought that was a great pickup. Taylor Hall, I'm not a fan of him. He's been a very selfish player, so I don't know why. But so they've got some good veteran guys around there. I still can't understand why they got rid of Kane. He could have lived with Bedard could have lived with them, but I don't know much of the Blackhawks organization. They're kind of on their own world right now. But you've never been here. It's a big city, 3-4 million people, but they love their sports. And when the Bears suck as much as they do, the Cubs, the White Sox are all bad. They always focus on a sport. And, Bedard's come in, obviously, started off great. He's going to be a great player.
Get ready for the Rod Pedersen Show.
You got McAfee breaking the big news. And in that interview, did Aaron Rodgers not refer to Travis Kelce as Captain Pfizer? Well, then this is how demented my mind is. Pfizer is also the drug manufacturer company of Viagra. So that's what I thought he was referring to Travis Kelce as.
Captain
But Taylor
Pfizer.
Swift. Yes.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Yeah, that's a true story. Hello, everybody. Welcome inside the RP show. Coming at you on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio, various podcast platforms, and streaming YouTube Live. I'm here in Florida. We're going to bring Moose on in a moment. I'm feeling a lot of aggression. I'm feeling a lot of agitation from everybody around me, but not me. So I hope for the next 2 hours we can just settle on in. Everybody can just undo their belt, kick off their shoes, and try and have some fun for a couple hours. As we bring in the Moose, he is in Toronto, the Big Smoke. As I say, I'm here in South Florida where it's a vibe, man. Everybody's largely in a good mood, but I don't know why. As I look at my Quick Six show topics, I kind of see why people are upset. But Moose, how are you today?
I'm great. Well, I'm good, but I don't know that there's a vibe. I don't know that there's a vibe here in Toronto, or the Six, as they call it. I don't think there's a vibe. I think everybody's in a bad mood this morning. I just can't even open Twitter or the social media apps because it is just flooded with negativity this morning. So the phone's away.
Yeah.
I got coffee. I'm good.
Okay, well, the interesting thing on that is, don't let the other people bring you down, whether it's you or everybody else, because I've been having a great day, and now I just hear people yelling, and I see people yelling, and I see people fighting, and I'm like, keep that away from me. I don't want it.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's what's going to happen with our guests today. Very excited to have Jennifer Jones and Brent Lang joining us from the Mixed Doubles Championship up in Edmonton. Their names, they need no introduction. Jennifer Jones and Brent Lang, they're coming up in hour one. Hour two, I got a funny story for you about Doug MacLean, the former head coach of the Florida Panthers and Columbus Blue Jackets, Sportsnet analyst, got a new book out, producer Clark tells me. So Doug MacLean will be joining us to talk about that. And Bobby Lowe's will be joining us, the assistant director of player development of the Vegas Golden Knights. And he's got the Stanley Cup coming to the Queen City on Saturday. That's Regina, Saskatchewan. And we're going to tell you how you can be a part of that and talk some hockey stories with Bobby Lowe's. Can you hit the Quick Six show horn, please? We'll go from there. I smile when I think of Bobby Lowe's because we spent a lot of good times together. He was the coach of the Pats for 3 years. And my little daughter, she was 3, maybe 4 years old. And like any little kid, she had a tough time saying her L's. So she said, Bobby Woes. And I said, who? She, Bobby Woes. I said, who's Bobby Woes? You know, Bobby Woes with the round head and 2 eyes. She was like 4. Bobby Woes. So Bobby Woes is going to be with us, or as some in Brandon call him, Buffaloes. Listen, Moose has a topic that he wants to get to, and we will get to it. Because it's not, I come up with a quick 6 show topics here, and Darren just ponies along, and he's ready to go on all those. But today he has something that he wanted to talk about. We're not going to get to that first, but we will get to it. And it has to do with a new Hockey Canada dressing room policy. But we are national, and around the world, apparently. I was going to say national television, but around the world. Clark just forwarded an email from an NFL Europe guy in London. Did you see that email, Darren, or did he just send it to me?
No,
the guy was watching us on Game Plus television in London. He's with NFL Europe. And they're getting ready for this weekend's NFL game there, and he wants to come on the show. And I'm like, what? What is happening? Anyways, point 1 of the quick 6. Let's get to it and then get away from it. An up-and-down season for the Toronto Blue Jays is officially over. Toronto lost 2-0 to the Minnesota Twins, who swept this series, the American League Wild Card Series. The Jays enter the year with high expectations after suffering this same fate in 2022, but after an underwhelming 89-win season, Toronto scored just 1 run and had 1 extra base hit in 18 innings against the Twins, who move on to play the Houston Astros. Why are you smiling, Rod? Well, it's because I remember them being swept by the Rays a couple of years ago, and then the Mariners last year, and I remember us having Buck Martinez on it. I was upset as everybody else that I'm seeing now this year in the last 24 hours on social media about the Jays. And Buck was like, no, Rod, it's a great season. They made the playoffs, and every team had their ups and downs. Oh, okay. Because I'm still of that if we don't win it all. It wasn't a great season. And I know that's not necessarily the right way to even look at things. The Greek freak, Giannis Antetokounmpo in Milwaukee, said the same thing. If you hold your expectations of winning a championship, it's the only way, whether you had a good season or not, that's not the right way to look at it. Okay, winning doesn't mean anything anymore, so it doesn't bother me. But it sure seems to bother everybody else, Moose. Boy, they're pissed about the Blue Jays holding their tents in Mini.
Are they ever? Are they ever? And I don't necessarily think it needs to be World Series or bust for everybody. Again, only one team can win. I think you should be upset if you don't like. I mean, that's the goal. But I mean, and honestly, a lot of times, like, it's really hard to make the playoffs in baseball. So I think there's something there, but not for this team. It tells you how high the expectations were, because this 18 innings pretty much summed up the entire Blue Jays season. Get a couple runners on base, and out. Get a couple runners on, load the bases, hit into an inning-ending double play, right? I mean, even when Vladdy was on second and got tagged out there, all the momentum got stopped. It was just frustrating. It's hard to watch, and I think it just summarized the entire season, and I think all Blue Jay fans are ready for this year to be over, and they just want to start fresh.
Do you remember Monday? We all thought there was a chance they might win the World Series, and now this. No. Ray Henderson is watching in Tryon, North Carolina. He writes in on the text line 902-518-3033, and he says, Blue Jays taken by October. He goes, I jump, but I live on the first floor. I jump, but I live on the first floor. I'd heal up in time to suffer through the 2024 season watching every day on YouTube. I kind of understand now why I've been put in this position, and it's a big position to be hosting this show. He jokes about taking his own life because the Blue Jays were swept in the American League Wild Card Series. I'll have you know that I talked to a guy last night that I had to convince not to take his own life, and he wasn't joking. And I understand it now. Part of the 21 hours of CBT training I took, cognitive behavioral therapy, not how to give it, I was taking it because I needed it. One was that if you are this upset over sports team results, you might want to check your priorities. I'm not speaking to you specifically, Ray, and Tryon, North Carolina. I'm just saying you might want to get over it. Is that fair? Or is it? No, he's making a joke. But I'm like, that. But he speaks for a lot of people that are very upset. And I'm not going to spend any more time on this because we're not a baseball show. Bryson Stott crushed the second Grand Slam in Phillies postseason history as Philadelphia earned a 7-1 win and a 2-game sweep over the Miami Marlins in their National League Wild Card Series. Phil's advanced to face the Atlanta Braves in a division series. The other games on Wednesday, Texas beat Tampa Bay 7-1, Rangers sweep, and Arizona beat Milwaukee 5-2, Diamondbacks sweep. If I may for a second before I move on to the NHL, ain't nobody talking about the Marlins here. Nobody. And just so you know, two things. I was talking to Chris Sanford today outside Orange Theory Fitness. His class was just finishing. Mine was just starting, and he was like, Rod, you're the only sports talk that I listen to. You're the only one. And I'm like, perfect. Good. Let's keep it that way. He goes, I don't listen to that Joe Rose. Right? He's on QAM, WQAM. What are you laughing at?
No, keep going. I like it. I like the Chris Sanford stories.
Sure, of course. So I'm going down a road here. I was listening to Joe Rose this morning. I like listening to Miami Sports Radio. So if you want to know, they're not even talking about the Marlins. They don't care about the Marlins. But it was very interesting. They're talking about Lionel Messi. Folks, listen up. In all leagues, Inter Miami and the entire MLS has really painted themselves into a major corner here. In a lot of ways. Not just jacking their ticket prices up double and triple to watch Messi, which they're getting the money for, but he's now hurt. So there's one thing for selling tickets at home and away when Inter Miami plays, but there's also the Apple TV. People are going and buying Apple TV subscriptions just so they can watch Inter Miami because that's the television carrier that you got to pay for to watch. And now he's hurt. That's what they were talking about on the radio this morning, Darren, how ticked off MLS fans are and Inter Miami fans that this guy's hurt. And I'm going, well, if you hadn't tried to rape everybody as a league and a team, you wouldn't have this problem. What's your read on that?
Yeah, but we're dealing with that in other sports, and the biggest one we're dealing with that is basketball. You know, you pay more money when the Stars come to town. We know it out in Western Canada, right? For Oilers and Flames games, when the Leafs come to town, the Canadians come to town, and for the last, decade, when the Capitals or Penguins come to town with Crosby and Ovechkin, ticket prices are higher, right? And there's more demand, and the resale value is higher. And in basketball, when LeBron comes around or Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors come around to your town, tickets are more expensive. And what happens? Oh, it's a load management night for Steph Curry. Oh, Kawhi Leonard's not playing. Load management. And you paid all this money for a ticket, and you're pissed off. So for Inter Miami soccer fans around North America, you got to anticipate something like this because it's a risk you take when you buy tickets to watch Stars play. There's no guarantee they're actually going to play.
Sure, unless, interestingly enough, his New York Giants, Chris Sanford's New York Giants, are at the Dolphins here on Sunday. We didn't even talk about going, and it doesn't matter because I'm going to be out of town. But it's like the NFL's got it right. They don't care about Messi or Stars. They're going to charge you and rape you no matter what. Doesn't matter who's playing. Go look up Ticketmaster for tickets for the Dolphins this week. It's like $3,200 for the seats that I was looking at, seats that I've bought in the past. So I guess my point is, fans, you do have a choice, and that is to not pay. That doesn't seem to be an option for them. And when I talk about people that are trying to annoy me, there's a guy writing me about how upset I must be that I'm not going to be in Regina this weekend for the Hall of Fame induction of the 2013 Rough Rider team, which I was a part of. And the guy must really hurt you that you're not there. As I look at my phone, I have a text message here being asked to go on the radio in Hamilton Friday night to talk about the CFL playoffs. And I got to check with Serena because we're going to be in the Florida Keys at one of the Panthers' houses. One of the Panthers. I said this yesterday. He goes, we're going to be playing this weekend, so do you want our house for Canadian Thanksgiving down in the Keys? Do you really think I would rather be anywhere else than there? And I got to check to make sure it's okay that I do this interview because we're going to be in the Keys. Trying to take a great week. Man, people are in my grill today, and I'm not going to let them stay there. Just can't, yeah. We're only to point 2, by the way, of the Quick Six show topics. Connor Brown. This is an interesting, in Edmonton, they've been waiting all day for us to talk about this. Connor Brown had 2 goals and an assist as the Edmonton Oilers defeated the Calgary Flames 7-2. And again, I laughed because I got up this morning and looked at the score. I was like, whoa. Imagine the emotions in Alberta today. Edmonton captain Connor McDavid contributed a goal and 3 assists in the win. The 2 Connors, get used to that phrase, the 2 Connors, have reunited after playing together in junior with the OHL's Erie Otters. Connor Brown signed a 1-year deal with the Oilers in the offseason. I was sitting there looking at the score. Then I clicked on the score. Then I clicked on the scoring summary, and it was like ding, 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 like a slot machine. McDavid, Brown, McDavid, Brown, McDavid, Dave, McDavid, Draisaitl, bing, Kane, bing, bing, bing. I'm like, all the greats were playing. I don't even know who the Flames dressed, but this was one of those games, Darren, where obviously the Oilers wanted to put their best foot forward. And I go even further. I look at Jay Woodcroft, and I watched this post-game news conference. I can't remember what the hell it was on, why it was on in Miami. Must have been on my phone. And he was like, we've asked Connor Brown, what do you want? What are your talents? What are your strengths? And we want to suit our lineup and our game to you. And I'm like, hallelujah. Can we just give Jay Woodcroft the Calder Trophy or the Jack Adams Trophy right now for Coach of the Year? Why is that so hard for coaches to understand? Or, for that matter, bosses, putting your people in positions to be successful and keeping them happy. McFly. How is this groundbreaking news? But Woodcroft has figured it out, Darren, wouldn't you say?
Oh, yeah. And that's awesome. I love hearing that. You can't always let, what do they say, the inmates run the asylum, but you can definitely communicate with them and try and keep everybody happy and put your best foot forward. I think that's awesome. Look, the Flames put out an American Hockey League roster. There was no big stars playing, really, for the most part. I think Dubé played. Vladar was in goal. But I hear Oiler fans, all excited. And they should be. They played really well. And then I hear Flames fans saying, well, when we played an American League team in Vancouver, we beat them 10-0. You only beat us 7-2. So the preseason jawing back and forth has already started. But yeah, it was a good game for the Oilers last night, and they seem like they're ready to roll.
Yeah, well, I get it. The teams are picked. For the most part, the teams are already picked. And we're really just waiting for the regular season to start. And for me, it can't start soon enough. By the way, Ellie Tolvanen scored the winner as the Seattle Kraken beat the Vancouver Canucks 2-1 in Abbotsford. Canucks wrap up the preseason Friday against those same Calgary Flames. Our hockey coverage is brought to you by Common Crown Brewing Company. Head down to the tap room in Calgary, 28th Street Northwest, Thursday through Saturday, noon to 8 p.m. Check out Common Crown Brewing at commoncrown.ca. A lot of hockey talk so far. We'll do a lot of football talk when we come back. And on the way, Jennifer Jones, Brent Lang, Doug McLean, and Bobby Lowe's. It's an all-star lineup today on the Game Plus television network, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Okay, the RP show continues. It's a Thursday today, episode number 1095 of Very Clearly What's Your Favorite Daytime Sports Talk Show, because you're watching and listening to it, right? And before we jump back into the sports topics, which we all are kind of on those sports topics, let's bring the Moose in here. And I will tell you that the text line's open, 902-518-3033. I don't have a lot of patience for people today, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time dabbling in the comments. I get a thought of Joe Exotic when I think of that. They were like, remember that documentary? Tiger, yeah, right, of course, good memory. Oh, Joe Exotic, if you're not a threat to the Gators, it was Gators, right? If you're not a threat to the Gators, how come you carry a gun? People.
How about that?
Exactly. Joe Exotic had it right. Okay. Right? People?
Yeah.
That guy was just,
Man,
he's
that
like
was,
me, misunderstood.
Yeah.
Misunderstood.
What a time in history, in our history.
The Tiger King. Oh, yeah, it wasn't the Gators. It was Tigers. Yeah, he wasn't raising Gators. He was feeding Gators to the Tigers. History will show Joe Exotic was ahead of his time. Just like me. Now, I'm going to get to that point that you wanted to talk about in a second. And listen, I'm going to pull Old Man Yells at Clouds here in a second, because Kirk in Toronto writes in regarding the Blue Jays being swept by the Twins. On the text line for EMJ Marketing, contact Joe at emjmarketing.com. He'll get you the perfect keynote speaker for your event. He says, hi, Rod. The Jays celebrated like they won the World Series to make a wild card spot. Man, was that short-lived. I'll stick with my text with football now. He says he's going to keep the football. I am like a lot of our older viewers, just kind of sitting back going, whatever. I don't have the energy to argue with any of this stuff. You Blue Jays, you want to celebrate like you won the World Series? Even though you backed into the playoffs, you do you. I say it all the time. You do you. Like players, if you want to do backflips in the end zone and do these crazy dances with touchdown, go ahead. But you look at George Reed, one thing that nobody talked about when he passed and all the tributes came out to him, Darren, Monday and Tuesday. George, when he scored a touchdown, handed the ball to the referee. That's it. And I do remember somewhere along the line, they were like, George, you didn't dance after touchdowns? He goes, I spent all my energy getting into the end zone. I was tired. They guys planning their touchdown celebrations before they get in. They don't even get in there. And it just reminds me of, I went to my nephew's minor football game in America here. They call it the Pop Warner League. Darren, and hockey's just as bad. They're announcing the kids coming out number by number. They got cheerleaders. They got music blaring. I'm like, he's 9. And I see these hockey tournaments for Adam and novice and whatever they call it now, and they're handing out a trophy. Kids are doing victory laps, and they're getting rings. And I say to the parents, what the hell's wrong with you? And I've seen the football games where they introduce, there's smoke coming out of the tunnel when they come and it's supposed to mean something when you get to the next level, whether it's the big leagues, NFL, CFL, major, junior. But if you had it when you're 9, by the time you get to be 14, what's the big deal? Why would I try and win this championship? I got 3 rings at home. I won when I was 7 at that tournament in Lethbridge. So I'm like, you're not doing them any favors. And they just say, let them have their fun. Okay, I think it's you having fun, the parents. Kids don't even know. They don't know what they don't know. Now, but do you have a point on that before I get to your topic?
But you're going to lead right into it. And what you just said can cover the rest of the topic, It's the parents getting upset for the kids. The kids don't know any different. Kids don't care. So, I mean, as you get into this story, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. So get into it and we'll talk about it.
All I can say is, or all I need to say, this is from the CBC, a new Hockey Canada policy will not allow minor hockey players to put their base layer of clothing on under their hockey equipment inside the dressing room. They will have to use a private stall. End of paragraph. Do you want to decipher that into what? Because I literally don't care. I said to Darren, I don't have an opinion on this. I don't have kids playing sports anymore. I'm not around it, so I don't really have an opinion. But you clearly do. Yeah. So explain that in layman's terms, if you don't mind.
It's all over my social media, and that's why I wanted to bring it up and address it. And basically, the way I interpret it and the way I think it is hockey players, minor hockey players in Canada, are no longer allowed to get naked in the dressing room. They have to do it in the bathroom stall. So you can't strip down and change out of your clothes into your base layer, into your hockey gear in the dressing room. You can still get dressed with your gear in the room. It's just your long underwear or whatever you wear underneath your gear. You just can't get naked in the room anymore. That's the long and short of it. And I see so many people getting upset about this, and it's all adults that are getting upset about this, by the way. I haven't seen any tweets from actual players, young players, but it's the adults getting upset about it. And my first reaction is the same as yours. Kind of like, what's the big deal? What's the big deal if I got to go into the change room? At first, I thought it was somebody said you got to get your gear on at home, your hockey equipment on at home, and I thought that was crazy. But this isn't that. You don't have to get your hockey gear on at home. You just can't get naked in the dressing room anymore, and I don't think it's a big deal.
Well, no, and in a lot of ways, I just don't really have an opinion on it because I've been told that my ways are out of touch. My brother and I, the cowboy, look at things the same way, and he says, in history will show that old school was the way to go. Yet on the flip side, you kind of wonder, how were they allowed adults to be around naked teens in the dressing room every day? You know what I mean? When you really think about it. So
if you put it that way, if people said that way, if you just like deciphered and decoded everybody's Facebook post and Twitter post, they're basically saying, damn it, I want my kids to be naked in the dressing room together. Sounds kind of wild and crazy. right?
Who cares?
And
right.
And I mean, if you're a coach, not sure what you're walking in on, I mean, we deal with it, reporters. And how about female reporters walking in to professional locker rooms and pro athletes are walking around naked, right? I mean, it's kind of wild when you really think about it.
Hey, that old owner of the Patriots before Robert Kraft, the guy that owned Remington Shavers, can't remember, somebody will write in and remember, he barred female reporters from the locker room in the 80s. And boy, he was canceled. And Serena and I were talking about the other day. She's like, that old dude was ahead of his time. 40 years later, they're doing it.
Right.
It's like like Joe Exotic, the Tiger King. Jesus was hung on a cross. Okay. And history showed he was ahead of everybody.
Not everything of the old school is necessarily the way to go, but the values I get, right? This isn't ripping away old school values, right? Because I don't think being naked in the dressing room is a value we need to hang on to.
Dude, did we just take the off-ramp to Crazy Town today? And by the way, I'm here for it. I needed it. I hope everybody is snorting coffee out their nose. Regarding some of the comments I was saying earlier, George Reed just handed the ball to the ref. He didn't need to do a celebration. Jeff, the Stamps fan, says today's players could learn more from George Reed's class. Yeah, but I remember this. We were flying home. You remember a player we had with the Rough Riders by the name of Hugh Charles. And we called him Hugh Flippin' Charles because every time he scored a touchdown, he'd do a backflip in the end zone. Great guy. I love him. I'm still Facebook friends with him. He's in Texas. And I remember coming home from a game in Winnipeg from the Banjo Bowl one time. I was sitting beside him, empty seat, then Hugh. And I can't remember who the player was, but he leaned over Hugh's, like he leaned in the row, like right in front of me. And he goes, hey, you might not want to do a backflip when we're down 3 touchdowns. And then he kept walking because Hugh was so excited. He scored the touchdown. We're getting our ass kicked. It was 28 points. Now it's 21 points. Maybe read the room. John Ohm Ding, he says these celebrations for every play in football, CFL or NFL drive me crazy. Hey, I like him too, but over the top. Jeff, the Stamps fan, goes on to say this is why the younger generations are getting so narcissistic. And that's the thing with me. I know that is why God's put me in this position. I went through so much crap in my life, but at least I've learned from it, and now I'm helping people and passing it along, and have dealt with a lot of narcissists. I know how to deal with them. And we've got a generation of narcissists coming up. And if you don't know what that is, look it up. Never your fault. Never your fault. Impossible to look in the mirror. Well, guess what? When you've had enough pain in your life, come see me. And we'll start chipping away at fixing it. Leanne in Regina says, I was happy to win a first-place ribbon in long jump in elementary school. Damn proud of that ribbon. Well, you and I are about the same age. You and I had to, it was just for the top 3, Leanne. Now everybody gets one, right? Why try? Gonna get one anyways. Troy in Toronto says, Vladdy needs to step up and be the star he's supposed to be. Until then, he's just a pretty good player. The pickoff at second is unacceptable. Someone better help get the kid's head on straight. Well, or, find a way to deal with it. John Gibbons. How long did Vladdy sit there? It seemed like an eternity, right? He got tagged out. He just sat there. Get your ass up. You got called out. And again, that's why I've said to the coaches, why do you want to coach? And you know the one that said to me, and you want to work with alcoholics and addicts. You got me.
How about that?
You do you, Rod. Monty in Saskatoon says, Rod, how many rings do you have with the Riders? 2 championship rings. Thank you, Monty. I treasure them. Okay, I don't know what it is. Carlos in Indianapolis says there's the bold quote of the day, courtesy of Darren DuPont. The problem is I have no idea what you said because you said a lot of things. Something about being naked in the dressing room. We'll have to check the film. But
and I got to be very careful about putting that into a meme.
Yeah,
because it could come out wrong. Naked, children, but like, yeah.
Listen, Ted in Red Deer has just logged on and says, I just checked in, but I'm thinking Rod can't be too far from a Roy Shivers story. Well, we don't have a lot of time here, but that came up the other day. You were in a car with me and Serena in Charlotte, North Carolina, and we were doing Roy Shivers impressions. I almost had to pull over because I was convulsing. We were laughing so hard, and you didn't really understand what was so funny. You kind of had to be there. But like when Roy Shivers called the team, Dudney, we don't have time for it here. We'll get into it next hour. But Dudney Avenue, the bar strip in Regina, Roy Shivers, start of the season, held a team meeting. He says, if I hear you guys was in a brawl down on Dudney, I better not hear you was standing there picking your nose. You better have your teammates' backs. Not standing there picking your nose. See you in hour 2, Moose.
You bet. See you then.
We're going to Sherwood Park next. Jennifer Jones and Brent Lang joined us. This is going to be exciting. Curling fans, perk up. We'll be right back on the Game Plus Television Network, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
Hey, Rod Squad, now you can join the team with your very own RP Show gear. Head to rodpetersonshop.com and get yours today while supplies last. It's just like we wear on the show, official RP Show gear at rodpetersonshop.com. Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
A reminder, folks, we're brought to you in part by Kia Auto Group and Key Yorkton Kia. The all-new 2024 Kia Sportage reimagines innovation in motion. It pushes the boundaries of urban SUV design and technology with refinement and purpose. Go to KeyYorktonKia.com for more information. The 2024 Kia Sportage, movement that inspires. Yorkton's a great curling community, but I'll tell you what, so Sherwood Park, Alberta. We're going there now, where the Mixed Doubles Super Series kicks off with Event 1. And Jennifer Jones and Brent Lang join us from that beautiful Alberta community here on the opening day. Hey, guys, welcome to the RP Show. Good to have you. Hey, tell me all about this kickoff event for the Mixed Doubles Super Series and what folks are going to see this weekend.
Well, I think all the best teams in the world are here, most of them for sure. It's just a tremendous field and great ice conditions, great facility, and the Super Series is unbelievable. It's really trying to get mixed doubles, some great events heading into all of our big events in the spring.
Well, yeah, and Brent, yeah, exactly. Well, listen, mixed doubles jumped into our purview at the Olympics, of course, and a lot of us looked at us and said, whoa, this is awesome. The speed, obviously the competition. Just talk about, it's not your normal curling event. For those that don't know, guys, explain what they're going to see.
Yeah, well, I have to explain this to all my golf buddies regularly, so hopefully I'm good at it. But it's a faster paced game. There's more rocks in play. There's only 2 players. Everybody's astonished when I tell them I throw and then I get up and sweep my own rock. They can't really picture that, so I guess you got to come check it out live to figure that out. But it is fast paced, super aggressive. The game takes like 75 minutes instead of 2.5 hours, and just nonstop action is what it is.
Jennifer, what do you like about it?
I get to play with my husband. It's kind of great, but no, as everybody knows, I love an aggressive game. I love lots of rocks in play. I think that's what curling was meant to be. And mixed doubles encourages that. There's already rocks behind the button when you start the end. One miss and you're in trouble. And so it really is an aggressive style, lots of strategy, lots of thinking, really entertaining for the fans. And I think that's why it's really, really been enjoyable by a lot of fans, and it's gaining momentum.
Yeah, well, if you don't mind, I think it wouldn't be a bad idea just to talk about where the concept came from. I told you it was 2 Olympics ago that it was certainly debuted in the Olympics. Where did the idea come from? Because I'm all for speeding it up. I'm all for what they've done here. Whose idea was it?
I think it was Hugh Milliken that came up with it. Like, it started in the Continental Cup way back. They were looking for another format. They experimented with a bunch of things there, and he was a bit of a mad scientist. He's had some, well, Jen will agree with me, some terrible ideas, and we can say that he's a good friend of ours, but he's had some great ideas, and I think he was involved in it. And and it was also Warren Hansen. He wanted to get another curling discipline in the Olympics. They knew they needed more sports in the Olympics, and other sports have multiple disciplines within that same sport. So why not curling? And I think that's kind of where it started. It would have been Warren. I think I spoke out of turn and give him Hugh credit. He's in Australia and probably not watching. So I think it was Warren Hansen.
I'm not sure, but yeah.
Well, good for Warren, Canadian curling legend. And I'm looking at the events: Sherwood Park, Chilliwack, Moose Jaw, Fort Rouge in Winnipeg, Oakville, Halifax, but you're kicking it off in Sherwood Park. So can you talk about the tour and how this is going to go? You guys are going to be very busy here.
We are going to be busy, and I'm also playing women's, so it's a busy schedule, but we're doing what we love to do. And what's amazing about the Super Series is that they've really tried to include the whole country. So there's one out in BC, and then we have a couple of central with BC, Manitoba, one out east in Halifax, and then one in Ontario, or I guess a couple in Ontario. So it's great. It's spread across the country. It's going to allow all the teams to have access to it, and to really try to grow the sport in Canada and get the fans to understand, because it truly is a great game. And I don't know what I'd choose, mixed doubles or 4-person. They're both just so fun to play.
At some point, do you think you're going to have to?
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
Unfortunately.
Hopefully, I think it would be better for the sport of mixed doubles if there were some more kind of full timers. But there needs to be a full time tour, and that's what Jay Allen and Wayne Tuck, who came up with this Super Series concept. I think that's their vision long term, is to have a full mixed doubles tour, and then it would just be impossible to play both. You might have still people play a couple of events here and there, maybe even enter into their provincials to get to nationals and still do really well. Because at the end of the day, it's still curling. A guy like Brad Gushu doesn't play a lot, but the first time he played at Canadians, he won, and he's still good at curling, it turns out. So it's always going to be, hopefully, including, we want the biggest names, but we want some big names that are just in mixed doubles too, I think.
Well, I'm going to tell you something. It's a little strange to not see you in brown and yellow or red and white. What's it like not representing a region in these events?
You don't really feel any different when you're out there. You're still representing your club and all the people that support you. And so just because you're not wearing the colors doesn't mean your heart's still not there. So it's just about playing in the big events, and we feel very lucky throughout our careers. We've got to play in quite a few events.
What are the fans saying, by the way? What are they saying about this event, those that are watching it live? I'm sure they're raving about it, but what are some of the comments that you hear the most?
I think it's just the nonstop action. I didn't realize how fast-paced the game would be in this game every end. And it doesn't matter when you miss that shot. It could be the first one, second, third, fourth, or fifth. And all of a sudden there's a 3, 4, 5 hanging on the board. And the other thing we see a lot in mixed doubles that you don't see as much in four-person because of the format and the rules is there's more comebacks. You get down 3 or 4 early. In a regular game, you're kind of out there for a bit of a light skate the rest of the game, especially if you're up against a strong opponent. In mixed doubles, it's really hard to defend. It's, you kind of got to keep your foot on the gas, and that's fun to watch.
Well, especially for an adrenaline speed junkie like me. I'm sure your arm's tired, Brent. I will let you guys go. Sure. Thanks for the time, and good luck this weekend and along the way.
Right on. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you so much. And for anybody who hasn't watched mixed doubles, I encourage you to watch and then go and play because it's so much fun, and it's a great way to get on the curling ice.
I'm going to tell them how right now. Thanks, Jennifer. Appreciate it. Jennifer Jones and Brent Lang. And so, Mixed Double Super Series gets rolling in Sherwood Park this weekend. Go to mdsuperseries.com. MD as in mixed doubles, mdsuperseries.com. And you can watch the live stream, look at the draw, all the events right there, and check it out for yourself. We'll be back with a sports update and audience takeover right after this brief pause. We are live on Game Plus Television, WQEE, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Hey, Rod Squad, now you can join the team with your very own RP Show gear. Head to rodpetersonshop.com and get yours today while supplies last. It's just like we wear on the show, official RP Show gear at rodpetersonshop.com.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Going to dabble into the poll question. We do it every day for Key Yorkton Kia, and I'll say it again. The all-new 2024 Kia Sportage reimagines innovation in motion and pushes the boundaries of urban SUV design and technology with refinement and purpose. Go to KeyYorktonKia.com for more information. The 2024 Kia Sportage, movement that inspires. It's what's America's Game of the Week in the National Football League. On Wednesdays, we do Canada's Game of the Week in the CFL. Thursdays, we're going to do America's Game of the Week in the NFL. And it's pretty clear. Almost too clear. You'd like a closer poll than this. I struggled to come up with 4 marquee games, to be honest, because it's all about Dallas and San Francisco. I find it very hard to believe it's the first time since 1990 that the Cowboys and 49ers have met in prime time, but that's the way it is. 76% of you voting for the Cowboys and 49ers on Sunday Night Football. It's the game of the week. Very clearly last week was the Dolphins and the Bills, and that ended 48-20 for Buffalo. But I don't know if that ended up being the ratings winner, but I'm sure it was. The other games that I came up with, by the way, 11% of you voting for Kansas City at Minnesota. 11% of you voting for Baltimore at Pittsburgh. Interesting because it's an AFC North clash. And only 2% of you voting for the New York Giants at Miami Dolphins, which, listen, I get. It's not a sexy game at all, but I'm like, you go look at the NFL schedule and tell me what's the 4th game that has you interested in the NFL. Now, I'll say this. When I think of my buddy Chris Sanford, I always smile. He's a great guy here in South Florida. We were supposed to go for a chicken sandwich today, and we had to cancel because I got 2 shows to do after this. And he's a Giants fan. And he said, I talked about this earlier, but he goes, you're the only sports talk that I listen to. I don't listen to that Joe Rose guy. He's the Dolphins color guy, has his own show here in Miami, but I listen to Joe Rose. He's my kind of guy. And he was saying today, there's no gimmies in the NFL. And that's the one thing that I've learned. The NFL is just a cut above everything else in terms of competition and pressure. And so when he says there's no gimmies, they can't overlook the Giants because the Dolphins think they can overlook a lot of teams. And that's kind of what caught them last week. But the other thing that I heard, and I believe, is that there are no moral victories in the NFL. You hear this from a lot of coaches in a lot of sports, broadcaster guys like me. It was a moral victory. Just so you know, a lot of times that's us trying to let the fans down easy. And the coaches do it too. Well, it was a moral victory tonight. We played our best and almost won. That don't work in the NFL. Did you win or did you lose? And that's why they call it the Not For Long League. There's no moral victories in the NFL, and there are no gimmies. It's a hell of a league, man. I respect the hell out of it. Because in a lot of other leagues, there's gimmies. There's moral victories, not the National Football League, which we'll get back to in a moment. The offseason begins today for the Toronto Blue Jays. They were bounced from the playoffs in 2 games for the second straight year, this time to the Twins, who beat them 2-0 last night at Target Field. All 4 of Major League Baseball's best-of-3 wildcard series ended in 2 games, with Texas, Arizona, and Philadelphia completing sweeps. The Atlanta Braves are the current betting favorites to win the World Series, followed by the LA Dodgers and the defending champion Houston Astros, according to sports books. NHL preseason action continues tonight, with 3 Canadian teams taking to the ice. The Toronto Maple Leafs play host to the Detroit Red Wings. Meanwhile, the Winnipeg Jets welcome the Ottawa Senators to Canada Life Center. Were you serious, John Ohm in Winnipeg? Ohm said he was looking to get rid of your tickets for the Jets game tonight. And back to the NFL, the Washington Commanders opened their doors to the visiting Chicago Bears for Thursday night football. I actually thought for a second making this an option for America's Game of the Week, and then I thought, no, it's the Bears, which I do want to talk a little bit about next hour. But they're 0-4. Washington's lost back-to-back games since opening the season 2-0. So it should be a good one. Our sports update's brought to you by Common Crown Brewing. They have the perfect craft beer for your enjoyment, featuring their Core 5, Good Company Hazy Pale Ale, Common Crown Crafted Lager, Journeyman IPA, Brewmaster Blonde Ale, and Coppersmith Brown Ale, 4 of which sit below 5% ABV, making them the ideal beer for your everyday common affair. To the EMJ Marketing text line, Ryan Thomas writes in. And stay hanging in to the end of this, Tommy, because I got a comment for you. 902-518-33. He says, who gives a crap about the baseball celebrations? Why do people bring this up every year? Every team in MLB does it when they clinch a playoff spot. 162-game grind in baseball, it's a big deal when you make the playoffs. Get over it. Well, maybe for you, Tommy, but that's for the older generation that understands the phrase, act like you've been there before. And I find it interesting that you've moved on to baseball and not talking about Connor Bedard anymore. Because weren't you the one arguing that there was no way Connor Bedard was going to be on the Blackhawks top line? And now he is, and he's leading them in scoring in the preseason. So you don't want to talk about Bedard anymore? So we move over to baseball. Got it. Moose back in. People have comments about his comments from last hour and a lot more. So stick around after this brief pause, everybody, on Game Plus and Key Radio.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You got McAfee breaking the big news. And in that interview, did Aaron Rodgers not refer to Travis Kelce as Captain Pfizer? Well, then this is how demented my mind is. Pfizer is also the drug manufacturer company of Viagra. So that's what I thought he was referring to Travis Kelce as.
Captain
But Taylor
Pfizer.
Swift. Yes.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hi, everybody. Are you seated comfortably? Now let's begin. It's hour 2 of your favorite sports talk show. And I had this voice come through my head. Do we have Moose? Is he ready? Is he logged in and ready to go? I'm afraid to ask him this question, or for that matter, you people. You people. I'll start with you, Darren, and I'll put it to the people. Do you have voices in your head like I have voices in my head? And nothing crazy, but I had a voice in my head as I was walking to the washroom in the break. And it was, if you let other people get you down, that's on you. That was the voice that I had in my head. Very clearly.
Yeah.
Do you have it's intuition is what it is. But
It's intuition.
Voices? Okay.
Absolutely. I don't, like, I probably, when you said intuition, that makes more sense to me. I don't call it voices in my head, but I get it. It's the exact same thing, you know, where you get little messages, little things that pop into your brain like, oh, yeah, you know, and you think about that. I don't know that that's by coincidence.
Okay, well, I don't think it is. But again, if you let other people get you down, that's on you.
Yeah.
Don't let them get you down. And to be honest, my dad was saying it for years. It took a long time for me to get on. So I just need a laugh today because for a while I was letting other people get me down, but now I'm not going to, and I'm actually in a really good mood. But I don't understand what's going on with this show. And I would ask you, but I know you don't know what's going on either. We have this email that Clark forwarded us from a guy named Wade. Probably watching it right now. He goes, hey, Rod Pedersen and the RP show. I saw your show over here in the UK on Game Plus television. I wanted to reach out. My name is Wade. I'm an international award-winning Canadian comedian who's been living in the UK for 18 years. I also run NFL in London, the largest NFL promoter in Europe.
Wow.
With the NFL games in London this weekend, and seeing as you have a few expatriates on the show, I thought I would reach out if you ever need a guest from across the pond enjoying the show. Signed, Wade. I'm like, what is going on, Darren?
Beautiful.
You were in the game. You were in the game studios the other day. Did they happen? Did they tell you that we were on the air in Europe? Did they happen to mention that little nugget? Yeah.
No. And I don't know how he's getting it. I don't know what the UK cable carriers are, and if we're on any of those. But maybe it's through Fubo TV. Maybe it's through one of the online, because I know we're on Fubo TV, growing and popular there, and that's distributed online. Maybe it's that. Maybe it's through. I'm not sure how people get it. Just as long as they get it and they're watching.
Sure. Well, Clark, let's get him on. Approve. You don't need my approval. Let's get him on. And furthermore, I don't know if you saw me at the end of hour one getting in a bit of a disagreement with Ryan Thomas, the former Regina Pat, who said, who cares if the baseball teams celebrate lustily? It's a big deal to make the playoffs. Okay, we're all going to have to disagree with those that say the celebrations aren't out of hand. Because if you think they're not out of hand, then that's fine. And Ryan has attempted to correct me. He's saying that, he's saying that Connor Bedard was never going to play on Corey Perry's line. We're never going to come to an agreement, Ryan, so let's just drop it. They were on the same line the other night because they were assisting on each other's goals and were named the first and second stars. So he's saying they're not on the same line. I'm over that too. So before I move on to tonight's games in sports, man, did you hear me talking about the NFL? Like, I've been around the NFL for years. You and I have been to games, but to be in a market and following it every day is a different, and just being this close to being able to reach out and touch it, I have more respect for it than I ever did. But it is not, it's not what you see on TV. And when I say that, it's not like the Wizard of Oz where it's the big voice, and the big voice is this little dwarf behind a curtain cranking it, speaking into a mega. No. The NFL is as big behind the curtain as it is in front of the curtain. But I can see now why so many players and coaches have come to the Canadian Football League and just said, I can't do it. It's too much. It's too much. Too much pressure, too much everything, too much time, too much. Do you know what I mean? So Joe Rose, and you've heard him on the radio here, former Dolphins tight end. He does the color on the radio for the Dolphins games and is also on the morning show. He goes, there's no moral victories in the NFL, and there are no gimmies in the NFL. To say it's a man's league would offend a lot of people and say that it's not inclusive. So I won't say that. But what I'm saying is, man, I get it now. It is bigger than you even think. It's bigger than you even think on TV. Would you believe that?
I would. I'd believe it. And I think if you give the phrase a man's league a chance to settle and understand what it actually means, it doesn't mean, I think the intention's not about anti-female. It just means it's, all those old school, serious, tough, big deal, all these different attributes. It's a big machine, the NFL. It is crazy. And if you're not serious, and if you're not taking it seriously and giving it 100, you're not going to last in that league, no matter what area you're in.
Well, and again, that's why they call it not for long. And that's one thing, frankly, where sports is a mimic thing. They imitate each other, blah, blah, blah. But the CFL has kind of become the NFL in terms of the hours that are put in and for the coaches, not the players, but for the coaches. But the money has not tagged along. And that's a big, big, big reason why because you know every nook and cranny behind every closed door of my life because I've told you. But I'm not willing to put in the time that it's become now for the money that they were paying. I'm just not willing to do it. Some guys will. And for the coaches, they're making that decision too, right? But some guys just really, really, really want to be in pro football because they can coach in college football. They can coach in high school and probably make more money in a lot of cases. But they really want to coach pro, and I find that admirable. Now, I said we were going to play CFL, Deal or No Deal. All those Canadian Football League fans have just been waiting here for 67 minutes, 68 minutes. to talk about week 18 in the Canadian Football League. Were you able to find a point spread for the Edmonton-Toronto game at BMO Field Friday night? Because I could not find it on the Bet Regal website.
No, I wasn't able to find it. We'll make our own.
Exactly. That'll be fun. You notice I'm not putting on the crown. I'm not putting on the robe, but we can still have fun with it. And you would think I would have the CFL standings memorized, and for the most part I do, but I don't want to get it wrong. It is the 4-11 Edmonton Elks at the 12-2 Toronto Argonauts Friday night. 150th celebration of the Argos. What would be your betting line? And would you take your own betting line?
So I got to get a betting line that's going to make me think for a while. I would say I would put the Argos favored. I haven't heard if Chad Kelly's playing or not, but I would have the Argos favored based on him not playing. I would have the Argos favored by like 3.5.
Really? It would depend on the starting quarterback, of course. It always does.
Yeah. If they're going to run their starters, I'd probably move the Argo line to 7.5, 8.5, 9, somewhere in there. And that's probably why there's no line. Because sometimes you see in a game when there's a big decision like this that could completely sway it, they don't put out a line or let you bet on select games for that reason. Because you could have some inside knowledge and have heard something and put your money down, and then the decision gets made, the odds change, and you end up in a great spot. So I would say Argos by 3.5, and I don't know which way I'm going to go yet.
He doesn't know if he'll take his own bet. Write it down, people. We've got some comments that have come in. Jim and Balgoni, just hang on because I want to read yours. I want to read it before we go to break, but we're in the middle of our own deal or no deal, whatever you call this. I do feel, listen, I feel bad for the CFL in this regard, and I lived it for 20 years. NHL's starting. NFL has started, and MLB playoffs. Who the hell's talking about the CFL? You just said you don't know if Chad Kelly is starting or not. Neither do I. I haven't seen it anywhere. Have they not made a decision? Have they not said? Can somebody tell us, please? Because I'm too lazy to. I'm too old and I'm too lazy to go digging in lockers like Lou Brown in Major. I'm too old to go digging in lockers. Somebody tell me, is he playing or not? It would greatly help us set a betting line. And for that matter, all the betting companies would be they're all sitting there waiting. And we don't know. So right now, Moose has Toronto 3.5. I'll take your bet, okay? Darren,
and I
makes
won't.
You feel
I'll
any
say
better?
No deal.
He's not taking his own bet. Friday night, Canada's game of the week. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers with the BC Lions. They're opening the upper deck and selling tickets into the upper deck. How about that? For not just a Rider game. The Bombers are there in a rematch of the 2011 Grey Cup. Winnipeg at BC. First place in the CFL West is on the line. BC is favored by 2. Deal or no deal. And it's, by the way, 1:11 Eastern. I am throwing that in there. Can't forget that. Go ahead.
No deal. No deal. When things are on the line, Winnipeg steps up and plays. First place is on the line. I think Winnipeg will win.
Really, hey?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just like them when the chips are down.
He's taking the deal. So so hang on. BC's favored by 2. You're not taking the deal.
No deal.
Okay. I'm taking the deal because you heard it here first. It's the changing of the guard. Winnipeg, it's over. The good times are over. And you talk about acting like you've been there before. They're not. And they're losing a lot of fans, Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And come Friday night, you're going to lose in Vancouver, and it's over. You're going to be going on the road for the West Final. How's that feel? Saturday, the Plaza of Honor game. And what?
That's good. I like it.
Saskatchewan, home to the Hamilton Tiger Cats. The Saskatchewan Roughriders are favored by 3.5 at home. Deal or no deal?
I'll take the deal. They need to snap this losing streak, and they play better at home.
I'm taking the deal as well. And Ottawa is at Montreal, and the Alouettes are favored by 6.5. The Alouettes have already clinched a playoff spot by virtue of their win in Ottawa last week. This is the second game of the home-and-home. Montreal favored by 6.5. Deal or no deal?
No deal. I think, it's tough to win the back-to-backs. Montreal's clinched already, so maybe the foot's off the gas pedal.
Dude, look at you putting some actual thought into that. And you've convinced me of that. I won't take the deal either. Ottawa will surprise. They really got to get some wins going there in Ottawa. I used to say, and you were right beside me, when Ottawa was sucking about 3-4 years ago, I'm like, you've had great times. Welcome to what everybody else has to put up with. That's over. It's gone on too long. Ottawa's got to get they got to get their act together. And I don't know when it's going to happen. Maybe it starts this weekend. I don't know.
Yeah.
So regarding that little voice, listen, deep down, I knew what it was. The little voice in my head, I talk about it often. Jim Wagner from Balgoni writes in, he says, that small voice is called your conscience, Roddy, and it's God-given. And most people have learned to ignore it to their own peril. I will say this you can take the Bet Regal off the screen, guys. I will say this, in the advisors and the coaching and everything I've had the last couple of years, I've had people say to me, you've had that voice and you've ignored it over your lifetime, haven't you? I'm like, at times. And they're saying that the time has come to stop ignoring that voice. Listen to it. And because it will never steer you wrong. Right, Jim and Balgoni? And the most recent was, if you let other people bring you down, that's on you. Write it on a bathroom stall. If you let other people bring you down, that's on you. Although I still think the meme of the day comes from Moose. I don't remember what it was. Do you want to take a stab at what they were referring to?
It's something about being naked in the locker room. That might be the meme of the day. But I think the meme of the day might be, it's over in Winnipeg. And see how they react in Winnipeg.
Make it. I don't care.
That'll get us.
That'll get yours.
Yeah.
That and yours. Jason in Red Deer writes in, he says, Rod, where do the Stamps go from here? Clearly, Jake Mayer is not the answer. We'll get into that next. Kevin the Medium has chimed in. He's entered the chat, Kevin the Medium, from our sales department, and he says, the voice will always be accurate. You don't want to know what it's told me in the past, and I've ignored it. But I'm not ignoring it anymore. And things are going great. We'll be back with all of this. Well, Doug McLean is next. You'll have to come back for overtime, okay? We'll get this figured out. Doug McLean's name came up yesterday here in South Florida. Former coach of the Panthers. He's going to want to know how and why and from whom. We'll get into it when we come back here on Game Plus Television, WQEE, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
2 million liters of
Power creates electricity. Electricity creates. View Casino.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Broadcasting from beautiful South Florida, it's the RP Show on Game Plus Television and WQEE Radio. Doug McLean needs no introduction, but for your sake, I'll do it anyways. His Wikipedia says a Canadian sportscaster working for Rogers Media Sportsnet, former ice hockey coach and general manager. I love how they say ice hockey. Former president, general manager, and head coach of the NHL's Columbus Blue Jackets, and was also the head coach of the Florida Panthers from Summerside, PEI. There he is. We're bringing him in. How you doing, Coach? You're looking fantastic, by the way.
Well, I think I'm a little bit like you. I get a little of that Florida living. Oh, it helps a little. But PEI, Florida, good combination.
Is it ever? Hey, do you want to know how your name came up? I was at Bill Lindsay's house yesterday, and we were talking about his favorite coaches. He said, Doug McLean, and he goes, and I got to say Roger Nielsen, because Roger kept me on the team. He goes, I thought I was going to get cut. And he says, I need somewhere to keep my boat. And Bill goes, I let him dock it at my boat slip, and that's why I made the team. Man, those were good times, eh, Doug?
Yeah, you know what? It's funny. I was talking about it today. Gord Stellick's XM NHL show today, and we were talking about the Panthers, you know, in the interview. And, you know, it is amazing, that whole group of guys, how well they've done. You know, they were good players. They were character guys. But you look at all of them as people and what they've done since they've retired and moved on. There's not a guy that hasn't done really well from that group. It just tells you of what they were made of. They were a special group. And I remember, you know, Billy Lindsay and Tommy Fitz, whoever I put those guys with, they were the best line and the hardest working line and the physical line. And they were good people for sure.
Well, and they were hoping to finish it off with a Stanley Cup win last year. It didn't happen. Yeah. At least they got a win in the Stanley Cup final for the first time, because you know what happened in 1996. But do you ever get back down here much, Doug, at all?
I live in Delray Beach, so I'm pretty well. We'll go down the next week to head to Delray, get there mid-October, and we stay 7 months in Delray. We're U.S. residents, so we'll spend all winter, and we'll usually come back to PEI, mid-May or so. So we spend a lot of time in Delray. I don't get down to many games. I watch them, but I don't go down to very many unless there's somebody on a visiting team I want to, like get together with. So I don't see a whole lot, but I watch them play pretty regular. I mean, seriously though.
Well,
I coached in '96. Yeah. Okay. And Maurice ties me for the most playoff wins. Like, that's Gretzky-ish record holding. Like, come on, somebody's got to beat that record. It's a joke.
Huge gap in between. Huge gap in between. But I will say this:
25 years.
We do special occasion shows at the beach house in Pompano Beach. I'm sure you know where it is. Randy Moeller was just saying the other day, when's your next show at the beach house? So we'll get you guys all together and we'll do a special show there, bringing everybody together. It would be great. Yeah. Look, if you don't mind, if you were talking to Stellick about the Panthers, what do you expect out of them? And for that matter, the Cross-State Lightning, because there's a lot more hockey talk here than people would think. They're wondering what they're going to get out of their teams this year.
I'm seeing a little arrogance out of Tampa Bay that I don't really like, and Vasilevsky being injured, and they're becoming thin because of cap issues, So it's and some tough injuries with Vasilevsky going down here now, and losing some important depth guys. Killorn was a big loss this summer, so I see Tampa Bay potentially dropping off a little bit. The Panthers, it all comes down for me to Bobrovsky. Spencer Knight, hopefully he comes back and is good and able to become the player they all envision him becoming. But if their goaltending was so bad during the regular season and so good in the playoffs that it was like two different teams. So if Bobrovsky can do it consistently, I really like their team. Look, Montour's a big loss to start. Ekblad's a big loss to start. But I like their team a lot. So it'll be fun to watch again, hopefully.
Yeah, for sure. Well, let's talk about your book first and then bring it back to this year's NHL. What do you got? What's the latest?
The latest on the book? It's a bestseller, man. Indigo
of course.
Bestseller, yes. Me and Elon Musk on the shelf, No, you know what? The book was, it's funny, Simon & Schuster called me just after I left Sportsnet and said, we'd like to do a book. And I said, I really don't want to do a book, And they said, well, it's more like we'd like to do like a Moneyball of hockey type of book and about the drive. And I said, oh, well, that kind of intrigues me. So I hooked up with Scott Morrison, who's just a wonderful friend and a writer, guy that's written a ton of books. So we worked together. We did 3 years of it. And, it's all about the draft, my experiences with the draft, but also great draft stories. We did a chapter on the Lindros deal, which is fascinating. Pierre Paget, who's a friend of mine, lives in Austria. He kept every detailed interview he had with teams and who they offered. I think it's a great chapter. We did a chapter on analytics, which was really interesting because no GMs would let me use their name except for Rick Dudley. They'd say, hey, Doug, we'll talk to you about. I talked to 30 coaches, GMs, and they said, Doug, we'll talk to you. We'll tell you what we're doing. But please do not use my name because my owner is very sensitive about analytics. So I liked the chapter. I learned a lot about analytics, and I think we came across in a fair way on what really is going on in the league with respect. Some teams are crazy with it, and some are handling it really well. So I think it's a combination of the scouts accepting, the analytics people working with the scouts, and I think you can have a really good fit there.
Well, I was going to say, I don't want to spoil the book. That's why we want people to buy it. But I guess you just kind of just said, I was going to ask you where you are on analytics. You're kind of telling me you're in the middle. That's where I am, too. I think there's a place for them. I find them interesting, but I would never run my team by them.
It is interesting. There's some really good people. What I'm finding is the teams that the personality of the analytics person is really important. It's, in other words, a guy that can work with the group and work as a team player in the organization. I talked to one team, at the draft table, and the analytics guy is pouting at the table because they didn't take the guy he was pushing. And the GM said to the analytics guy, listen, buddy, let me tell you something. As long as I'm here, you will never be a key decision maker. We like your information. We'll use your information. But don't think you're a decision maker here. I loved Madden, the baseball manager, his comments on analytics. He said, and we quoted him in the book, he said, look, I want to know what time it is. I don't want to know how the watch was built. Give me the information. I don't want you in my clubhouse. I don't want you in the dugout, but I like your information. So, you know what? I think it's a real mix. Another guy said to me, Doug, it's like going out to dinner. It's not the steak. It's not the potatoes. It's not the salad, but it might be the salt and pepper you put on the meal. So I think but I think it's becoming as more data is available and more information is available, I think it can be put to good use. I really do. And I think you have to be fair to it. And if I was a GM today, I would certainly, when I'm looking to acquire a player or trade for a player or draft a player, I'm certainly looking at the data. There's no doubt I would be doing that. But I still want my scout's eyes on the player.
Sure. Well, I was just on a podcast as a guest last night, and the guy said, Rod, how do you feel about the numbers showing NCAA hockey's putting more players are being drafted than Major Junior is? And I said, are you trying to start a brawl? I was 20 years in the Western Hockey League. I very clearly have a stance on that. And I said, well, I'll just say I still think the best players are coming from Major Junior. I don't care what the numbers are. Look who all the #1 overall picks are. I'm sorry. But how would you answer that? That more players are being drafted from NCAA? Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, the U.S. Hockey League, the USHL, has become a good league. There's no denying that, because let's not kid ourselves. They've got a huge base to pick from in the USHL. They've got a European draft now that's added to the league. It's become an older league where young kids are having a hard time making the league. It's a good league. To me, the USHL moves players to the NCAA typically after they're drafted. They go to a college program. So they come out of college, but really were drafted probably out of the USHL or early in their NCAA career. The US kids, if they choose that route to go USHL, then the NCAA, they get a longer window. For instance, if an 18-year-old, 19-year-old from the Major Junior goes to an NHL camp, I mean, it's a challenge. They're young kids, and an NCAA kid is coming out at 22 years of age. Big difference. And so they have a longer runway to develop their pro skills. But, Major Junior, I mean, look, I watched Bedard the other night. Like, oh, my God. I mean, I watched Sidney Crosby. I watched Connor McDavid. I watched, the best of the best in the world. A lot of Major Junior guys there. Braden Point. I talked to Brent Sutter about Braden Point. And Red Deer coached against him 6 times this year. Or coached against Bedard 6 times. And he really compared Bedard to like a Braden Point, who was a 3rd-round pick at a Major Junior by the Tampa Bay Lightning. And he's become a franchise player, Braden Point. So lots of great Major Junior players, to say the least.
Yeah, for sure. And I appreciate the answer. And the parents are sitting there just riddled with anxiety, which road to send their kids down. And there's pluses and negatives to both. Let's be honest. Way too early prediction for a Stanley Cup final. I won't hold you to it, but who can you see making it to the end?
It really is. I'd love to see Edmonton get there with McDavid. I wore their goaltender, but I think, I was looking at Connor Brown moves in there. I mean, they've can the goaltending hold up? I thought they should have beat Vegas last year in that final, in that round, and I think they're capable of moving forward. So I've got Edmonton coming out of the West. The East is unbelievable. I'm telling you, Boston looks like they could drop off. Tampa looked like they could drop off. Toronto is going to be good, but I'm not in love with their defense, and I'm not in love with their goaltending. So, and their kids still haven't proven they can play when it really matters. I tell you, Florida has a chance to take a step, but I'm going Carolina, Edmonton, Stanley Cup final.
Wow. A rematch of 2006. I love it. And, hey, it's interesting you say that. And I've been around all these ex-Leaf guys the last 2 summers. Jamie McCown, Lanny McDonald, Tim Hunter, and they all talk about the media in Toronto and that it affects the Leafs' performance. You were clearly part of the problem, if you believe that. Do you believe that the media affects on-ice performance of the Toronto Maple Leafs?
I really tried to be part of the problem. I did try, but I'm not sure I had that much an impact. And when Babcock left or got fired, he phoned me and he said, "Hey, I really love listening to you every day." And I'm like, "Okay, right, you know." So you know what? We were hard on the Leafs, but I thought we were always fair to the Leafs. And if the truth was known, if the Leafs would have listened to Kyprios and I a lot more, they probably would be ahead of where they are today. So we were trying to help them, you know?
No kidding. I love the joke of an answer, but I feel like they actually believe the media impacts what's going on there. And I often say, from my football career, I said, the second, if you're going to give me a ring when you win the championship, then I'll take the blame when you lose. Which, you know what I mean? Like, I think it's just an excuse.
I'll tell you what, I was a general manager in Columbus, and the media was tough there. I watch what goes on in Vancouver, what goes on in Winnipeg, what goes on in Calgary, Edmonton. The media are tough there, too. Let's not kid ourselves. I don't think the Leafs get it any worse than any other Canadian city, because every Canadian city, they love the game. The fan base is passionate. They're all tough on them, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah.
Suck it up. Don't use it as an excuse.
It's how I feel, too, so I'm glad that we're singing from the same hymn book. Doug, thanks for this.
I got to tell you something.
Yep.
The media guy in Columbus, who I didn't get along with very well at the end, he made a comment about a couple of years ago. He said, Doug McLean, the general manager, would hate Doug McLean, the media guy. Pretty accurate.
And you were okay with that?
I thought it was pretty accurate. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. Doug, thanks for the time. We'll see you when you get down here.
Okay, man. All the best. Take care. Thanks
All
for
right.
having me.
The great Doug McLean. You bet. Thanks for coming on. Former Panthers and Blue Jackets head coach. Bobby Lowe's joins us next. I can't wait. I got a question burning for him. The assistant player development guy with the Vegas Golden Knights. He's bringing the Stanley Cup to the Queen City this weekend. Bobby Lowe's is next. We're live on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. DDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
The RP Show continues. Big hockey day today. And as I said, excited to welcome in Bob Lowe's, the assistant director of player development, player personnel with the Vegas Golden Knights, the Stanley Cup champion Vegas Golden Knights. Bobby, welcome to the show. I'll say congratulations now, although you're not even thinking about last year. But I got to ask you, Bob, before we get to Saturday's event with the Cup and everything, what is it like, Lowesy, to win the Stanley Cup? What's it like?
Well, you'd know from your dad when he won it that it's something. If you've grown up in Canada, you've been involved in hockey, that it's a dream come true. And I think you first, dream of winning it as a player, but it's so hard to play in the league, and then just trying to work in the league is hard enough. But once you get there and you're able to work in the league, you're close enough to hopefully have an opportunity to win it, and lucky enough to win it.
Was there luck involved? Let's be honest. You had some bad luck in the first 5 years. Was there luck involved in the sixth year to finally bring it home?
I think you need a little, some luck. I think we didn't even make the playoffs the year before because of injuries, pretty much, and this year I think last year we avoided them or any major injuries that could change your lineup. So our lineup was pretty consistent throughout, and guys were playing with pretty good health. So I think that's a big part of the luck, I think.
Well, I'm sure you spent the summer saying this exact thing to all your friends and so forth, but you're going to have the Cup this weekend. So, when you grew up in PA and you were playing road hockey and you were playing on the ice and you thought about winning the Stanley Cup, and you actually did it, you probably thought about what you'd do with it if you brought it home, or maybe you didn't. I don't know. But this weekend you finally get to. So that's pretty exciting.
Yeah, it's real exciting getting it to bring it to Regina, which, we grew up in PA, summer at Emma Lake. So there was, an opportunity maybe to bring it up there with Chandler Stevenson being up there and getting it. And then it just didn't work out that way. And we were able to bring it to the Queen City. And, at first I didn't know what we were going to do with it. But then Shelley, my wife, stepped up. She had it all planned out and had thought about it without telling me. And we're pretty excited about what we're able to do with it. With regards to October being Cancer Month, our breast cancer month, and being able to, hopefully generate some funds for their Empower group that does some good things in the community with cancer patients.
Yeah, you've turned it into a fundraiser, which I thought this is genius for InPower. So do you have anything to do with that, or should we get Shelley on to explain how this is going to go down on Saturday?
Well, it's more Shell, actually. When I told her I was going to be on your show, I said, you can explain it better. But, well, my wife had cancer 10 years ago and then became involved. There was a group of women that, started a fundraiser or started out raising funds to help educate women and do fitness classes with women that have gone through breast cancer after. And I can't get into all the inner workings of it, but I know it does a lot of good things in the community for people that are afflicted with this, tough disease.
Right. Well, I read the whole thing. So 2 to 4 p.m. at the Cooperators Center, Cooperators Arena in Regina this Saturday. Show up, make a donation to InPower. You'll get a ticket or a slip, a reservation, basically, right, to get in line, and only 100 will be sold. So it's a donation to InPower. That's the fundraiser portion of this. But I'm not done on the bringing it to Regina. I'm sure this probably tore you up because I know how much you love PA. Losey, the gateway to the north, PA.
The city by the river. The city by the river, the gateway to the north. I always sing that to Kelly McCrimmon. He laughs. Krim laughs every time I sing that. The other one is you can't spell paradise without PA. So
I thought it was party. Depending which way you're going on the Diefenbaker Bridge, it could be the gateway to the south. That's the one I thought you were gonna say. Right? Yeah, but I thought if Krim could get away with taking the cup to Brandon, and let's be honest, I know why, and not plenty, then you can get away with bringing it to Regina. Absolutely. It's a lifelong thing. You should enjoy it and not have to worry about these decisions. But I got to ask you this about you were pretty much a day one guy, right? If Krim was day one, then you would have been day 1.5. Right? So that's got to feel good to be with something from the start to the fruition.
Yeah, it was exciting when Krim got the job. I was excited for him. I'd always told him that, he was more than able to work in the league and that the NHL, you kind of put it on a pedestal sometimes, but what he'd done in Brandon or what you do in junior, especially as a GM, is just like the NHL light with what you're doing with, drafting, developing, trading, running a team, how to put a team together. I think there's a lot to it that transfers into the NHL. The only thing you don't have in junior is salary cap. But, I think that Kelly, right away, we had talked about it, and I was really excited to be on the staff to begin with. And from day one, with how it's gone, with Vaughn Karp and myself and Kelly, George McPhee, it's really exciting. And all our scouts and hockey operations people, it's the big thing is you start a culture in your organization. I think we were able to start a really good culture, which starts within the organization and then transfers once you get your team and gets on the ice. So it's exciting to be able to win the cup with a group of people that have been together for a long time or been through right from start to now. So it's exciting.
Hey, it's good to see you, Losey. I got a million questions for you. I haven't talked to you in so long. Somebody said to me it may be easier to win the Stanley Cup than the Memorial Cup based on the year-end tournament factor. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, it is. I agree. I being a coach and being being there 3 times, I think I was at the Memorial Cup as a coach. Once as an assistant in Seattle when we hosted. 95 when we lost the league final to Kamloops, who was hosting, and then 96 when we won it and went to Peterborough. And it was tough. It's a tough tournament. It's pretty exciting to win your league. You're playing against the teams you play against all the time. Then you go to a tournament format from a 7-game format, and there is a lot of luck involved in that tournament. We've seen it, and it's hard to win. 7-game series, you get the best team win for sure, and the strengths and the weaknesses show out over 7 games. It can mask in one game. You get a hot goaltender. I know in Kamloops, we felt we were the second best team in that tournament, along with Kamloops. I'm not sure we would have beat them in the final at home. But we played Detroit, and their goalie got hot, and we lost 2-1. And the same could be said in Peterborough. The home team beat us, goaltending and a little bit of refereeing. In those days, the refs from each league that hosted ref, there was no bringing refs in from other leagues. So
yeah,
it was a tough. Those were tough situations to get through in a tournament format. And 7-game series, you get the best team for sure.
Yeah, well, when the guy said it, I was like, you can't. When he said it's easier to win the Stanley Cup, I'm like, it's not easy to win the Stanley Cup, but when you put it that way, yeah, I could see why you definitely would say that. Well, Bobby, I appreciate the time. Congratulations again, and have a great time on Saturday, man. If anybody's earned it, it's your family. Way to go.
Well, thanks very much, Rod, for having me on. I really appreciate you plugging what we're doing with the Cup, and I enjoy your show. I watch it quite a bit, and I'm honored to be on.
I appreciate it. Awesome. Thank you, Bobby. Appreciate you. Bobby Lowe's of the Vegas Golden Knights. We'll be right back with overtime after this. We are live on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Hey Rod Squad, now you can join the team with your very own RP Show gear. Head to rodpedersenshop.com and get yours today while supplies last. It's just like we wear on the show, official RP Show gear at rodpedersenshop.com.
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Okay, here we go. Let's do it. It's Overtime, brought to you by Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary, 28th Street Northeast. I was talking to Randy, the owner and proprietor, yesterday. They've always got exciting things going on down there. They got Focky now, foosball meets hockey. Check that out. New hours. Bring your team, bring your business, bring your staff, bring the whole family. Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary, where skill and fun collide. I maintain it's an amusement park for hockey players, and nobody has said that I was wrong on that. Let's bring Moose in now for overtime. You want to just sit here, Moose, and I could say read angry tweets, but they're not angry. But people have, they've stood up, and they've got a lot to say on the EMJ marketing text line, okay? 902-518-3033. Number one, really enjoyed the interview with Bob Lowe's. 3 seasons, I was adding it up. 3 seasons, he was the coach of the Regina Pats. 2-time CHL Coach of the Year. If I interviewed him on the game show for 3 seasons of hockey, that's 3 seasons times 72 games. You know I'm bad at math. 206 games, 200, that's like almost 500.
Right on.
Thank you. I'm just bad at math. Not to mention any other times. Regarding PA, he says you can't spell paradise without PA. I used to say you can't spell party without PA. Doug Odnacon. Do you know Ozzy? Doug Odnacon, my buddy. He writes in and says you can't spell parole without PA. 3 jails. 3 jails. Provincial, federal, and a women's facility. Funny how that's come up 2 days in a row. Bart Hunter checks in. The money hunter. The man who led the Regina Pats to their last Western Hockey League championship in gold in 1980. One of the greatest goalie masks I've ever seen. Bart Hunter writes in, says, Rod, great job on the show. Congrats. Oh, and by the way, Bill Hunter's son. I'm sure he would not mind being referred to as that. Bart says, you probably know, but Bob Strum's being inducted into the Regina Sports Hall of Fame tonight. Great recognition for him. Well-deserved and long overdue. Way to go, Strummer. Rose Henry writes in from Edmonton, Darren, and she says, Chad Kelly is on the depth chart to play tomorrow, and I'm older than you are. Do we want to kick that hornet's nest of Chad Kelly? Why would he start this week and not last week?
Well, yeah, I said that last week going into the Winnipeg game. I said, what a great way to simulate what's going to happen in the West Final, where you finish the regular season, have a week off because you're in the bye, and then you got to play. So to me, it makes sense for him to play because you took the week off. That simulates the semifinals, and now you got to get ready to go after a week off. So I think it's a great dress rehearsal for what they'll face come Western Final or Eastern Final time.
Yeah. Who knows what they're thinking? That makes as much sense to me as anything.
But they might not play.
Herb Lemaire is watching in Melville, the home of Tim Shovelday and Terry Poole. Do those names mean anything to you, Moose?
Yeah, they do.
Okay. He says, Brad McEwen is a Sasky boy, scout for Vegas, bringing Lord Stanley to Round Lake, our backyard. How about that?
How about that?
Darren Romsdell is in Melfort. He writes it and says, Sports Select has the Argos by 7, because we were saying earlier on Bet Regal didn't have it. Would you say 3.5? Well,
yeah.
Chad Kelly starts. 7's very reasonable.
Very much so.
Okay, the one thing, and Darren makes a very good point, Ramsdell, about the wearing underwear in your gear. Listen, if I had a dog in the fight, I would have an opinion. I just don't have an opinion anymore. But Hockey Canada saying that you have to not take your undergarments off in a dressing room. That's basically what it boils down to, right? You can't be naked in a locker room if you're a minor hockey player. It ain't that hard to figure out. Darren writes in Ramsdale and says, long, stinky bus rides home from a hockey game unless you're going to wait for 20 players taking their turns showering. And that was what I said I was getting into. The creeps and the perverts ruined it for everybody like everything. They ruined online chat rooms in the 90s. They've ruined kids' dressing rooms. You know, and I guess that's a longer talk. I think why I didn't want to talk about it was it's way more than we could spend 2 to 5 minutes on.
Yeah.
But if people would stand up and report when you see something, say something, but people don't want to get involved. You want to know why this stuff goes on? Because nobody wants to say anything. Period. And that is my thoughts on that. But we don't have time for that. I'm not sure we'll ever have time for that. Did we discuss it significantly enough for you today in the 30 seconds that we have left?
I'm sure there's lots more, including the showering thing, but let's leave it there for today.
Great job, Moose. We'll see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
That goes for you all, too, noon Eastern here on Game Plus and Key Radio. Who has more fun than us?